Good evening, hello, and welcome to the New Age Geeks channels. If you're new here, build an inclusive space for people of all walks of life through the power of friendship, magic, and tabletop role-playing games. Tonight we have the Forging Fates Part 2 series recap as we dive through episodes 29 to 64 and continue telling you all the story so far. What's up, my fellow geeks?
What is up? Just a friendly little reminder to everybody in the chat is that the New Age Geeks includes more than just us up here on the screen. It relies on all of you wonderful geeks and your participation in this community that we are growing together. If you want to become one of the New Age Geeks, I have a little secret for you. You totally can. You can be a New Age Geek. All you have to do, just make sure to subscribe to our YouTube and Twitch channel. And join our Discord, where you will find moderated chats, emotes by one of our favorite geeks, Sarah. Hello, Sarah. We love you so much. And moderated chats, along with chat rooms with the cast and other members of this growing community. Another little reminder is that the best way to help us out is with engagement. So we'd greatly appreciate if you'd watch the video all the way through, like, comment, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to let these platforms know to share us with everybody else. Beyond Twitch and YouTube, we also have posts going up on Twitter, on TikTok, and on Instagram, and on Threads. Threads has been popping off lately. Follow us on all of the things to follow. I can't speak. Words are hard. Make sure to give us a follow so you get some more geeky goodness.
September is Subtember on Twitch, which means you get to subtract 30% on all new subscriptions. So if you're not subscribed to the New Age Geeks, now is the time. Additionally, if you have Amazon Prime, you get Twitch Prime for free, which means you get 1 month subscription to any channel on Twitch for free. All you have to do is link your Twitch account to your Amazon account, then go back into Twitch, find your favorite channel, and click subscribe with Prime. If you're feeling charitable, please subscribe on Twitch. YouTube subscriptions are free. Gift subscriptions to others, cheer using bits, donate via PayPal, check out our merch shop, subscribe to our Patreon, and if you have it, even consider a sponsorship or partnership with us. And if you'd like to begin those discussions, hit us up on our Instagram page to begin those discussions.
That being said,
now I can.
I don't think we have anything else. I think we can dive right in to the Forging Fates series recap.
Oh, intro.
So, we ended off with episode 28 last week.
Yeah, we did.
So, who is picking up on the recap with episode 29? And if you have questions, whether they be background questions about any characters, any questions about the story so far, any theories you have, post them in the chat. We would like some interaction with you guys, be able to have a little back and forth conversation. We're going to try and have a little bit more discussions about the things so far, maybe a little theory crafting by the players, by the viewers. So make sure you guys are typing in that chat, and let's have a fun night as we recap up to today.
Yeah, I'll say viewer questions are my absolute favorite. 100%.
Same.
But so, episode 29. So we're in Lyrangorn at this time. We're sort of like sneaking around. We come across, I believe, some imps in like an alleyway, and we eventually made our way to the smith shop, where Finnick decides to get some armor. But then Clover decides to sneak off and investigate what else the smith has to offer. And so while Finnick is getting her armor, Clover has Finnick's bag of holding and manages to swipe some of the wyvern armor that Bellin, Whisper's brother, was getting for his wyvern.
Still one of my proudest moments.
It was
What
great,
prompted
though.
you to walk off and do that? Like, she was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna sneak out, and then I'm gonna sneak back in," and like,
Yeah, because you literally
one,
split off
brilliant.
before we
Two,
went to the shop.
what prompted that? Because like,
Well, we had been in there before, right? When I went in to break in, it was when we were going back to pick up Phoenix armor.
Yeah.
So we had already talked to the shop owner and found out that he was making special wyvern armor for Belen, who is our enemy. And if I can fuck his day up a little bit, I'm going to. So I went in and stole a wing from that armor, and hopefully that really upset him when he found out.
Was that the first time Clover stole something from a shop?
I think so.
Yes, and it's not that shop owner wasn't very kind. He didn't deserve to be stolen from, but Belen was literally having the entire of Vasselheim destroyed, and I wanted to slow him down. So sacrifices had to be made.
Lyringorn, not Vasselheim.
Lyringorn, yeah.
Lyringorn, yeah. All of the places end up blending together.
Well, and the thing is like in that session, because of like the commotion going on outside, we took a long rest in the smith shop.
Yes.
Because there was so much going on during the nighttime.
Yeah, shout out to that shopkeep for letting us do that.
Yeah.
Great guy.
10 out of 10. And he didn't even notice that the wyvern's armor was missing.
Not while we were there.
Not while we were there. But then Whisper had a dream about her sister making a deal with the devils. Whisper wakes up, has a talk with Finnick. And then eventually we wake up and the city is in shambles because of the attack that happened the night previously. And then we head to the castle where Whisper goes up to the guards and persuades them to just let us in because we're trying to fix the wrongs that were made. Oh, I guess, no, I was the one to persuade them. But Whisper helped, 100%. And so we head up to the castle, and as we were entering the throne room, that's where we left off for that session. And then for episode 30, we split the party, and by splitting the party, it was literally just Whisper heading off on her own while the rest of the party snuck around the castle. But before the confrontation with Whisper's sister Dale, she summons 2 wolves. We will always remember Fluffer and Nutter. Good dogs. And through some combat, we managed to kill Dale. And then from the throne room, we head down to the prison. But at the top of the stairs, we run into a guard he's in a panic, he's scared, and then gets impaled by something and ripped away into the darkness. And that was episode 30.
That fight with Dale was rough. I'm so glad that was the BBEG of that particular round. Nothing.
Sorry, Dom. I thought you were done.
No, I was just being sarcastic. Please.
No, minor note for that session, though, that we never actually talked about again. I don't know if anyone else remembers, but when we split off, Finnick and Clover were there were all of these bodies of armor lined up in the hallways. We put so many, like probably over 50 bodies of armor in the bag of holding, and I don't know
the weapons.
If we ever did anything, we might still have a bag of holding full of Lyringorn weapons and armor.
Well, yeah, because the thing is like when we were sneaking up and around to get to like the top of the throne room, Finnick had cast suggestion on the guard that was like at a desk, like manning the armory. So she cast suggestion and it worked. and then we just took all the weapons and armor into the bag of holding.
Yes.
And then we just like dipped out.
And forgot about it.
I feel like that's gonna come back to us in like the very end of the game, where we're just like,
that
you know
one
what?
guard.
Flip this inside out. This bag of holding inside out. Everything that's in it is just gonna come exploding out. It's gonna just be weapons and armor and just body parts and just everything else that we have stored in there and forgotten about, just everywhere.
Well, and like thing is like normally in any campaign that I'm in, if I add an item to like the bag of holding, I will add it in my character sheet. But the thing is, I don't think I ever added the armor or the weapons. But I know because like so much has happened, and like I've told Joe, it's like, hey, I want to sell this. And like there's some items that I've sold, but I cannot remember about the Lirangorn shit because there was so much of it.
Well, now we brought it back up. We're gonna sell it. It's gonna be great.
And Joe is gonna be like, cool, here's the real BBEG from Lirangorn.
It's
the
just
dragon.
sentient suits of armor.
It's fine. But hopping back into episode 31 is when we encountered the Chain Devil. So we made our way down the staircase where it was like we were only able to be like a one person wide line. And I
with a wolf.
Oh yeah, with the wolf, but thing is, for some reason, Finnick was at the front of the pack, and when she got down to the bottom of the stairs, the first thing she saw was her dad. And that was a intense moment. Just like, what the fuck? That's my dad. And then Finnick gets like strung up by chains.
Yeah, it was pretty terrible.
But there was a lot of combat that episode because as well as a chain devil, there were a few other like devils or demons in there. Yeah. It was a tough battle at that time. Because I think Gormrog went down at one point or was close to it.
That happens a lot.
It happened in my
you're a monk, so just gotta punch a little harder.
I'm trying.
Get better,
nerd.
I
know. Get good.
Doing great, Gorm.
And then I love this point because at one point it was towards the end of combat where Finnick launches a chaos bolt and manages to hit 3 of the devils and kills them. But then there was like 3 people barely hanging on to life in the cages in this dungeon, and we brought them to the Moonweaver's Grove to heal them up, and we take a short rest. And that's where we ended episode 31.
What did you
also
think?
During that,
what did you think when you first saw your father? Did you think it was like he was actually there? Or did you instantly realize like, oh, this is some sort of illusion?
Look, I thing is like when I roleplay, I turn into my characters. So it's just the thing is like the illusion of Finnick's father threw me for a fucking loop. And I'm just like, Dad? And like there's a small piece of like fan art or like a little piece of art that I drew because she was so like confused and stricken. She hasn't seen her father in years.
If I recall correctly, you also rolled really low on like a perception check, so you truly would have had no idea.
Yeah. I've noticed it's very common of Finnick to roll shit on perception. She does not roll above a 10 or a 15.
Yeah. So you were like frozen in fear at the bottom of the steps at that moment. I remember that was pretty.
Well, and then with so like Joe and I have like a stress chart to keep track of like Finnick's PTSD. And like she did not roll well for that either. She was literally frozen in fear. And then she got strung up by the chains. But then episode 32 is where we went into the cave and we ended up fighting Bellin with his wyvern. But then after we killed Bellin, it was sort of revealed that he was like possessed by a lunar sort of demon.
Yeah, lunar devil.
Lunar devil. Like all around, that was a pretty tough fight. And then at the end of episode 32 is when Whisper accidentally resurrected the lunar dragon.
Mm-hmm.
And Clover shot it.
True. I mean, if you see a dragon, you're gonna shoot it or run away.
No, but it's just the thing is like Whisper was just like, oh yeah, I cast Moonbeam on the lunar dragon skeleton, and we were all just like, what are you doing? And then Joe, you were like, okay, well, it resurrects the dragon.
Did the one thing
what
he was trying to build.
Head,
I was like, okay, so I started the whole thing like, all right, he's got to, you know, it's the full moon. We got to get to the point where the moonlight's going to shine down onto this skeleton and it's going to start the resurrection process. And then you guys defeated him. I'm like, okay, cool. He's not going to be able to complete the ritual. And then Whisper does the one thing he was trying to do onto the bones with the flower, because she used the moon petal flowers to like amplify the spell for max damage. And I was like, that's literally everything he was trying to do.
And because at the beginning of the combat, Finnick counterspelled whatever Bellin was working on too.
Yeah.
Because this is just me assuming that Bellin wasn't like a caster. He was like more of like a fighter build.
Yeah. If I'm remembering right, fighter warlock. I don't think warlock actually. I think just fighter. What's up?
But yeah.
So 32 was also the session where we beat all those chain dragons before the Bellin thing. We beat all the chain dragons, chain creatures and other creatures down there, finding all of those cages where all of those people were locked up.
Well, that was episode 31 where we fought the chain devils and brought everybody back. Brought the injured ones back to the Moonweaver's Grove.
And when
then
we went
32.
when we went back to the Grove before going back to Belen, and in that time was when Quell told Clover that she was a Herongon, which up until that point she didn't know what she was, and she called herself a hairy halfling with rabbit ears. So, very pivotal moments in my life.
Okay.
Yeah, but that brings us to episode 32, where where Whisper accidentally resurrected a lunar dragon.
God, I was so nervous for that. Especially because Taz, you just honestly, like attack.
We're gonna have to end up fighting the lunar dragon at some point later on in the campaign.
I really hope that's not true.
Well, because the thing is like the lunar dragon recognized Whisper as a member of the family that entrapped or like did it dirty, I guess.
Yeah, so her family, because the lunar dragon ruled over Lyringorn for generations, and then eventually her family were the ones to rise up and actually like defeat it, so it could smell the blood in her.
Love that. But whoever wants to take up episode 33.
Yeah, 33 to 40 is me. I'm gonna try to speed through some of this. But 33, having inadvertently revived the lunar dragon, Whisper was identified by it as a descendant of the family that had destroyed it, setting free the denizens of Lyringorn from underneath the dragon's rule. We did manage to avoid conflict with the dragon, aside from a couple of swipes and cold breath attacks, but the dragon decided to escape into the horizon. We left the Lyringorn castle, heading back towards the Grove, where we said goodbye to Quell.
I miss Quell.
Quell might come back soon. We don't know. We might see Quell
honestly,
again.
We might need it.
We're probably going to see Quell again. I have my coin. We learned the fate of those that had survived from Whisper's family. They are being healed and rehabilitated under the guidance of the clerics that reside within. We stayed the night at the Silverleaf Inn. The owner was not happy to have us, being so smelly, dirty, and poor-looking. We flashed some gold, and she led us into our rooms despite her initial hesitance. After resting and heading down for dinner, Tristan and Gormrog are approached by a half-orc woman from their tribe, Samayor, aka Sammy and her husband Raynor. So this begins an entirely new arc of our campaign. Sam and Raynor begin questioning how we came to have the Nox blade that Whisper has, that she stole from Finnick, that she found, like, in the woods or something. Sam and Raynor then try to convince us to help them in their mission to reunite all the blades together. After the conversation turns tense, Sammy and Raynor tell us to sleep on it, and we make plans to meet the next day. So, Gormrog, how do you feel about the only people you've seen from your tribe outside of your tribe being like that?
Being like what?
They told us, I mean, that's how we found out about the blades. They told us all about the
Primordial zealots?
the primordials. Yeah. You know what I mean.
They don't speak for the tribe, right? They branched off just like Tristan and I did. But Tristan and I branched off to find something better for ourselves individually. They branched off to pursue this nonsense, this, I don't know, the zealotry that will destroy the world as we know it if they achieve what they're trying to do. So it's like, familial ties be damned. She may be my cousin, but she's got to be stopped.
So the next morning, we met Sam and Raynor outside of the inn, where Finnick used her mind-reading abilities to dive into their thoughts, finding out some of the locations and plans of the blades still out there. In an attempt to get us to join them, Sam and Raynor gave Whisper a missing piece of the Nox blade. We find out their next stop is Whitestone. We assume for the Titan Stone Knuckles, although that was never confirmed. Clover, still angry at the innkeeper for being such a bitch to all of us, snuck up to her room to take back the gold we had paid the night before. While she does that, the rest of the team went shopping to gather resources for the journey ahead. And that is session 34. 35 is called Oh Nuts! That was a really good title, Joe. So it starts off with Clover breaking into the innkeeper's room. She finds a bag full of gold, grabs a handful of it, manages to snag some rings on her way out that she immediately sells the next time they are in a shop. The rest of the group returns, and Clover convinces them to hurry and leave the inn. I wonder why. We head back through the grove one last time to check in on Whisper's family, and then begin our trek away from Lirangorn. Just outside of the grove, we met a squirrel who offered to guide us through the forest to a spot where Quell had told us was an entrance to the Feywild, in exchange for a lot of nuts. If you didn't watch this episode, you should. It's really funny, and we reference nuts a lot. We made it to the beautiful pond where this siren Phelan was seemingly sitting guard at the entrance. We got her permission to camp there for the evening. As we begin to relax for the night, Finnick recounts some of her history, leading to how she got to this point. This starts the Blade saga, and this also kind of begins, like...
Yeah, breadcrumbs for...
Finnick's arc a little bit as well.
Was that the episode where I revealed my entire backstory, or not yet?
No, this was just where you started to tell some of your history of how you met up with the Fists of Fate and your journey up to then. You have not yet told us about, like, your nightmares.
Well, because, like, I think the only one that really knew about the nightmares was Gormrog at this point.
Which, coming up in the next, like, couple of sessions, you and Gormrog have a lot of intense conversations. I didn't write them all down, but you guys, this is where your story picks up a little bit, too. New friends. Sometime during the night, an elven ranger approached our camp during Tristan and Whisper's watch. They were extremely defensive and aggressive and told him to leave, which he did until the morning. And then he came back in the morning, introducing himself as Phelan's husband and the famous author Bramble Thornwhisper.
Oh my god, this guy!
Clover freaked the fuck out in total fangirl. And that is my favorite improv moment that I've ever done. Because that was not my NPC. I had no idea. I was surprised just like everybody else. And I decided to go in a completely different direction and make myself a Bramble Thornwhisper super fan.
That was great.
Everybody else absolutely hated this guy because he was a jerk.
He was not a jerk.
Arrogant.
He was a delightful elven being.
He was a delightful, arrogant person.
We both have different definitions of delightful.
Joe, how did you feel about Taz's improv of just?
Oh, it was great. I loved it. I loved
super fan.
I was like, caught me up by surprise. It's like, okay. I mean, it made sense for Clover's character, and it was just funny. It really got to, he got to really lean into the craziness of
stories of all of his adventures, and she loves to read. She loves adventure, and she's a teenage girl, so
that is fair. I feel like he's like the Gilderoy Lockhart of Forging Fates.
Yeah. Except he's capable.
Is he though?
Yeah, he's so much fun. He saved us in almost every fight. He saved us in almost every fight.
Who is more annoying, Wendy or Bramble?
Bramble.
Wendy.
Bramble by a fucking long shot.
When did Bramble ever come up and try to scratch you to get a sample of your blood?
Bramble wouldn't shut up.
Wendy was creepy. Bramble was annoying.
Respectfully, Bramble was so full of himself. Wendy was annoying, but Bramble was just like, I'm great and I know it, and you're all gonna recognize this. And when we were just like, no, he was just like, I'm gonna get even worse.
Bramble was building a brand.
Yeah.
Bramble was the nicest person to Clover at that point.
That's sad.
Cynic would like to disagree, but okay.
He told us about a mission he was headed towards at the Turst Fields to investigate the Dawn Mist Pines, where there was a corruption heading into the forest. He was asked to go root out the problem. He asked if we would join him, and after some convincing, we all agreed. During our journey, we came across, and I don't remember this at all. I put this in parentheses because I don't remember this. During our journey, we came across 3 glowing spheres being chased by a large troll. A battle ensued in which the will-o-wisps were destroyed and the troll was set on fire. Anyone? Did that happen? Is that a thing?
I don't remember that.
I don't remember that at all.
No, I don't.
After the battle, we find a place nearby to rest for the night. And then the next day, we did a lot more traveling through the Cliff Keep, the Umber Hills, etc., etc. It began to storm outside, so we found a shelter in a cave where we relaxed, had some good discussions, went for a dip in the cave's hot spring, and spent the evening playing Never Have I Ever.
Yes, the hot spring episode.
I'm so mad because this is like, so episode 37 was one of the episodes that I was not present for. I was literally out at a concert and I had, like, in between the bands, I had the stream pulled up on my phone. And I was typing in chat, like, if Finnick had put a finger down or not. Like.
Yeah, that was fun. We played Never Have I Ever as our characters. Looking back at that episode, I wish I had answered a little bit differently, but there's more time to play more Never Have I Ever. When the rain subsided, we continued our trek. At some point during our traveling, we came across a map maker who we agreed to help in exchange for a map. We also gained 2 pseudo-dragon familiars. Eventually, we made our way to the outskirts of the Joran village at sunset, And as we see the Joran village in our sights, Whisper comments, "Oh, look, that's where I got arrested." I don't think we ever found out anything more about that.
I don't think so.
I still
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think we know anything about Whisper's arrest, except she has brought it up like 2 or 3 times. 38. As we arrived in Joran village, we dropped off Linus the mapmaker, and he gave us a map that showed the sudden changes in the environments of many villages in Exandria. As we continued traveling through Joran village, we saw a caravan with the Liger Corporation logo. Finnick used her. This always comes in so much clutch, and I don't think you have it anymore, right? I'm so sad.
I'd have to check my character sheet.
Finnick used her mind reading abilities to kind of see what was up, since we've had trouble with the Liger caravans before. She found out that the caravan was actually holding slaves captive in the last cart. We obviously decided to act because hell no. After an ambush and combat, we killed or scared off the members of the caravan and freed the innocent people held captive. The team came to learn that the innocent people were taken by several myriad members, and a deal had been made with the high-ranking member of the Liger Corporation. Hearing this information, Tristan became uncontrollable and like a switch flipped into a rage, scales glowing and teeth sharpening, and this was like the ragiest he had been up until this point. Eventually, Clover and Finnick were able to calm him down. And this is when Clover began to realize her feelings for Tristan were more than just strangers on an adventure together. Aw, so sweet.
Right? I will say, Finnick does not have detect thoughts anymore.
Yeah, that's so sad. It came in clutch.
Maybe the next level up is when she takes it again. But we'll get into Finnick's we'll get into that later.
Yeah. A blade in the storm. With Tristan going to rest in the cart, we continued our journey to the Turst Fields. On one of our last nights of travel, Whisper was visited by something that caused her to take out the Nox blade and drive it into her heart. The blade then reappeared in her hand outside of her body in its full form. I don't know if I want to say this or not, but I do want to say it. Gormrog then says, it's bigger now that it's penetrated her. And everyone else on the cast looks disturbed and shakes their heads. Arriving at the Turst Fields, we met Alara Brightbloom, an elder, and her son Brainer. Very creative name. We find out Alara is possibly another of Bramble's partners, and Brainer is possibly Bramble's son.
See, we only discussed that because of the way that Bramble and Alara interacted.
And
like Brainer the way that they interacted.
And Brainer looked a lot like Bramble.
Yeah. I mean,
they both have similar names.
He's definitely his son. 100%.
That's not our business. If you want deadbeat dad drama, go to Queer and Present Danger. I'm just saying.
Sorry.
No, you're good. I'm just saying. Deadbeat dad drama is over on QPD.
We got info about the Dawn Warden Circle, the group of druids that inhabit the Dawn Mist Pines, just to the north, who they have engaged in trade with for hundreds of years. We got some names of people we might want to talk to, and then we made it to the Burning Hearth Inn, where they have themed rooms. 40. The Depths of the Dawn Mist Pines. Whisper got the Misty Forest room, Finnick got the Under the Sea room, Clover really wanted to stay in the Underdark with lots of special equipment room, but Finnick talked her out of it. And she eventually settled on the Misty Mountain room. Gormrog took the Ocean View room, and Tristan just stayed in a regular room. I felt like saying where we all slept was very important. While most of us began eating dinner, dancing, and socializing, Finnick started reaching out to some of our allies to inform them of everything happening. That's unfortunately, this is very sad, when Pike informed Finnick that there was an attack happening in Whitestone and Grog was dead.
Yeah. Yep. That was fun.
So then Finnick reached out to Citrin of Vasselheim, the real Vasselheim this time, to update him. Some of the team heard the news and went to bed early. Clover stayed up to listen to Bramble play music for the tavern. Gormrug stayed up to keep an eye on Clover. Some of the guys began to make Clover feel uncomfy, so then she decided to sleep in Gormrug's room for the night, where they shared a giant seashell bed.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is like, also in that I mean, you were sorry, didn't mean to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
Because during that session was the first time that Finnick had prayed in multiple years.
Yep.
That was the first time she prayed. And by my wording, she was praying to anybody that would listen.
Yeah.
Good job.
So, in Finnick's dreams, she was met by an entity where she was able to muster her strength and courage to break from the chains and ignite her wings once more. The next morning, the team woke early to start their travel to the Dawn Mist Pines. When they noticed, they were being followed by a quell of squirrels. This was also when we all realized that a pack of squirrels was called a quell, and realized that Adam's pretty much just a genius. The squirrels transformed into an Aarakocra, who said they weren't welcome in the forest. Who said, like, we weren't welcome in the forest, the Fists of Fate. Then, all of us, the Aarakocra and the team, were attacked by a giant wrapped in vines and woods, as well as two lizard-like creatures made of elements. Gormrog was beaten very close to death, but with the help of Bramblethorn Whisper, we managed to succeed in our battle, and the Aarakocra Eliana agreed to bring us to the village of the Dawn Warden Circle.
And this is where we get into episodes 41, where... Well, did we have any questions before that? Anything you guys wanted to talk about?
We do have some questions left over from last week.
Yay, let's answer them.
We can answer one of them. I'm trying to...
We're moving a lot faster than last week, so...
One of the questions from last week is from Hans. One of my players from Queer and Prison Danger. We absolutely love Hans. What has been your favorite roleplay moment so far from Forging Fates?
Favorite role-playing moment is probably oh god.
Yeah.
There's a fight I had with Tristan where he starts throwing in my face, "You don't know what this is like." And I hit him back with, "No, I don't, because you don't talk about it." Just that whole interaction of him shoving me up against the wall and me just taking it, and him just being aggressive and violent and just, "You don't understand." And I'm like, "I'd love to, tell me." And just being non-confrontational while still calling him on his shit while he's screaming at me and trying to hurt me just to express himself, and just me letting him, that felt like a really good roleplay moment for us.
What about you, Tess?
This is so hard. I don't know how to choose just one. I think I'm gonna... So obviously, like I said last week, I really liked that conversation that Clover had with Tristan, where she finally forced him to talk to her. And he basically admitted, like, it's not that I don't like you, it's just that I am in love with somebody else. And in that moment, they come to an agreement that she's going to help him on his path, and he's going to help her on her path. That was really... I love that. That moment's actually coming up in a few sessions, I think. Mm-hmm. But also, I love all of the silly moments that Clover has with Whisper. There's so many moments between Clover and Whisper where we're just joking and about eating food or rolling in the mud, or both of us are just absolutely clueless about something. Like someone is flirting with someone else and both of us are just like, what? So I like all of those too. So something like that.
What about you, Joe?
I would say there's definitely not one for me. I have so many like moments that I've really enjoyed. The manipulation stuff that I got to do with Finnick with the parents and the worms, that was all really fun.
I would like that.
I liked the interrogation. The interrogation too. Sorry.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that. I loved Bramble. He was really fun. He was fun to play. Just being that like fucking so full of yourself person was a lot of fun to play. Trying to think. I don't know. I can't think right now. I'm trying to think something for everyone. I can't even think.
I will say one of my favorite roleplay moments, and not to like toot my own horn, was I guess later on at the gala when Finnick was on the steps just having a mental fucking breakdown.
That was such a good moment.
That was like one of my favorite moments, and then the fact that like when she was actually like praying, being like in such a point of conflict, and then like Bahamut actually responding. We'll get into that later, folks. But but then also like in one of the most recent episodes when like we were on the beach, that conversation between Gormog and Finnick. Like I feel like Gormog and Finnick have had a lot of like really like intense but also very pleasant like roleplay moments. Like
it's almost like there's a reason for that.
That's crazy. I don't know what you're talking about. But like when Clover and Finnick used Gormog's room for the haircut from later from this episode again, and then that stupid pun that was just like, let me get out of your hair real quick. That was one of my favorite moments because we were all just like, you are so awkward. Finnick might have a 19 charisma, but she's still awkward as shit. Like, iconic.
I'll say also with the introduction of Tristan's fiance, and like how that went, like slowly the pieces were like circling around each other, and then it all kind of like clicked into place for everyone. That was a lot of fun.
I got it immediately.
Yeah, that was good.
I saw it in Taz's face when it clicked. She's just like that moment of jaw drop, eyes pop, and I'm just like, oh no, she gets it. I get it. Oh
and
no.
I couldn't say anything yet because Tristan hadn't figured it out yet.
Dude, it like took me a minute, and as soon as I like it clicked, I'm just like, oh shit.
And then what the funniest part is that Whisper didn't get it until way later in this
until she talked to his fiance.
And she was like, oh.
Is that who that was?
Those are some of my favorites, but
I like that Clover went after Constance and talked to her. I don't know if I would call that a favorite roleplay moment, but I liked that I did it.
Yeah.
So I'll throw that in there too.
There's so many good roleplay moments.
Yeah, we're honestly all just really good at roleplay. Also very humble.
Totally, 100%. We're amazing.
All right, so picking up with episode 41, this is where you guys are brought down to the Dawn Warden. This is where you guys are brought down to the Dawn Warden tree, and you get to meet Alondra, the leader of the Dawn Wardens. And she kind of gives you a vision of an opening inside the forest that you guys are taking through a set of wolves that she is kind of like enchanted, and they're kind of diving through, and you come to this opening where you see an opening to the elemental plane of earth kind of ripped open in the center of the forest. As they kind of crest the top, they are crushed to death, but not before you see suspended between trees the druid you would come to know as Gathok, kind of suspended there between the trees, the vines kind of enveloping and piercing through his body. It's at this point you meet Thorn, the bodyguard, before attempting to rest for the evening before the druid circle is attacked by vine-infected creatures. Once that's all kind of wrapped up, the Gorm, Rog, and Bramble Thorn Whisperer have a conversation about Clover, which Clover obviously hears and gets very upset and begins to yell at Gormrog.
That was a great role play.
You know what? That was a good role play moment too.
That was a good one.
Taz, I cannot commend you enough for that, because that was such a great moment. Because between like Clover's like passive perception and just like being able to hear that, like I was just like I felt like I was the one being yelled at here. Like it was so good.
It's at this point that Whisper is brought to Alondra's hut, and they begin to go through a wild shape training, because the way Gem plays Whisper is that she's not able to fully control her wild shaping, so she usually rolls on a table. So when Whisper decided to take this training to permanently unlock the ability to transform into a bear without having to roll. And Elena is knocked to the ground and being infected by vines is how the episode ends. As you guys all kind of come out of that. Episode 42. This is mostly you guys making your way through the pines towards the rift. Once getting there, you begin a battle against infected treants, vine creatures, and earth elementals, as well as Gathok. Between the fists and a few of the Dawn Warden druids, you begin to close the rift in the center of the forest, with Gathok eventually being struck down by Clover, able to shoot a couple crossbow bolts into him, dropping him to the ground, and Finnick is able to control one of the treants with a charm monster spell, I believe it was.
It was from the Tal'Dorei sword. Because I was able to charm him.
Yes, that's what it was. So
I will say I think that's one of my favorite Clover combat moments, because I don't think up until Clover's had a lot of obviously good combat moments, but I think that's the one where she ran up there with Tristan and Gormrog and no one was expecting that. And I was just like, no, I'm gonna be melee too. And that was my first, like, I wasn't hiding in the background.
Well, and I think that was the first combat that Finnick also revealed the flaming wings rather than the skeleton wings were. Well, because it was Clover ran through the wall of fire, Whisper and Talon went up, and then Finnick went up with them to get over this wall of fire to then get into combat. And that was a really cool like description altogether.
Yeah. What did you guys think of Gathok as a villain?
It was sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that was like villain, yes, but not by choice. That was right. Like that was corruption. That was consumption. That was driven to that by the things corrupting him. Decent amount of foreshadowing for what took place in Vasselheim recently.
I was just about to say, you're good at that. It was great as a villain, but he was like a sad villain.
I didn't hate him. I didn't just feel any. I don't know. I just pitied him more than anything.
Well, yeah, that's again being like forced to do something out of your own control.
Gathok being strung up like that, like 100% was just like, this guy's already dead. He's just being used.
Yeah.
He's not the villain. He's the victim.
Well,
but then we couldn't attack him. Like, we couldn't attack the thing that was controlling him necessarily.
Yeah.
It was like we had to hit both or we hit nothing.
yeah. I mean, and that, whatever that entity was, I mean, all you did was seal it off back into the earth plane.
For now.
Is that right?
Well, I mean, it was coming through the vines, and the vines went into the earth plane.
Oh. I thought we killed them.
You killed Bramble. Not Bramble, Gathok.
I wish we killed Bramble.
Right, the one that was coming out of Gathok.
Bramble
we
was so
destroyed.
nice and good. I still genuinely, not even Clover, like Taz does not understand the hate. The still hate, even after everything he did.
Well.
But yeah, because like the vines were coming out of the rift to the earth plane and we ended up sealing that off.
Right.
So.
We did, I got to punch a rock creature until it was dead. That was cool.
That ends episode 42 with the defeat of Gathok and Finnick with control over Trent. Episode 43 picks up with the Roots kind of resurrecting Gathok. He's unable to really do anything, but his body was brought back to have a conversation with you. And he basically tries to give you the same sales pitch as Raynor and Semayor, trying to convince you guys that allowing the primordials to return and return the Earth to the Exandria to its actual native state without the gods' interference is the right way. But he then knocks Whisper unconscious by through the Nox blade before you guys ignite him on fire and immolate the body completely.
Well, because also during that, when Whisper was possessed by Nox, was that the first time that Finnick tried to cast like protection from evil and good, like protecting Whisper from the elemental energy?
I don't think so, because she's unconscious because she's not in this episode.
Oh, right.
So I don't think that was this time. I think that's the fight in Western.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
The team returns to the Dawn Waters, and Alondra goes ahead and gives you guys insight into the blades and the history, and explains how the Nox blade is attempting to take control of Whisper completely, and kind of lets you guys know that that is the route that this is going down, unless you guys do something about it. What's up, Tess?
Oh, nothing. I'm saying that when we are all like surrounding Whisper, telling her how much we love her and that we want her to wake up, was also really good role-playing moments for all of us.
Yeah, you guys, I feel like we really start to hit a stride around this point, and like everything just gets better with the show.
Yeah, after Lyrangorn, we all get better. Yeah,
everything kind of locks in. Feast is prepared by the Dawn Wardens. You find out that your treant's name is Anthony, and he's now your bestie.
I miss Anthony. I'm not even gonna lie. Like, I thought about him the other day. I'm like, I hope Anthony is doing well.
You make a few phone calls to Pike, Citron, and the mayor of Western, kind of just updating them on the situation and getting, a little bit of details yourself. You find out that the Titanstone knuckles were in fact stolen from Grog by his hands getting cut off. So, Grog is dead.
That's so fucked up, John.
It's awful.
And we end the session with Bramble Thornwhisper giving Clover a gift.
Yes. Bramble gave me a lovely, sweet notebook that said, "Write your own story."
What did you think of that?
Very kind. I loved it.
was a player, what'd you feel like? How did that make you feel?
It made me feel like Bramble Thornwhisper was a genuine guy who was an author and saw something in Clover, his biggest fan, and saw how misunderstood she was by everyone around her, and gave her this journal and said, you can do whatever you want to do, and I believe in you. And in that moment, I forgave him for eating meat.
It's at this point, I believe, that he also departs, and that is the end of Bramble Thornwhisper's time with the Fist of Fate.
It was, yep.
Yeah.
Episode 44 picks up with Whisper having a vision with Nox, which leads to a battle of wills, resulting in Whisper being able to resist Nox from complete control, but now her hand and arm are blackening, and you can see the corruption spreading up her arm. You guys return to Western via plants, where you see that the automatons have been completed and have taken up positions throughout the town and city of Western as kind of guards. You come home to see your home is rebuilt and the upgrades that you had requested have been completed. And you also find out that you have a housekeeper that was hired by Esther.
That we were all immediately suspicious of.
I mean, with everything we went through, though, can you blame us?
Oh, absolutely not. No, like, shit's weird.
We warmed up quickly. She was sweet.
That's true.
And that was the end of 44. Episode 45. You wake up to breakfast from the housekeeper. She has prepared a lovely breakfast for all of you to enjoy. It's at this point that Tristan heads to the Platinum Dragon's Temple to kind of try and get a little information, because Tristan and Donald were not available that episode. And you all head over to the Cobalt Reserve to have a conversation with Cressida Holt, where you basically update her for everything that's happened in the campaign so far. And she instructs Gormrog that he is able and ready to take his expositor's test.
Let's wait. We're in 4 ads, and this is a big moment for Gormrog. So I feel like we should wait for the ads to end so that everyone can see Gormrog's moment.
Okay. Well, while that's happening, you all go ahead and research a few different things. Whisper researching the Nox Blade, Clover researching the Feywild and the origins of Harengon, and Finnick researching cults around deities.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here. Let's see. I think, yeah, well, that's where the episode ends as we get ready to begin that next step. Okay. And I think we're back from the rest of the community. So, we end episode 45 with Gormrog beginning his expositor's test. And then 46 starts up with Gormrog completing the expositor's test and receiving his robes. I did want to ask Gormrog, what did you think of that whole test?
It felt very open-ended.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I wasn't quite sure what I needed to do. But I figured out that the point was follow through on your conviction. Just commit to a thing that you believe is right. And as long as you can justify that, that was the point.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of, like, prove your skill, prove your wisdom, prove your intelligence, prove your dexterity, and, like, I made a lot of bad rolls in that, and I was really worried that, like, that was going to come back to bite me. But I scraped through and I made it, and, like, having Alabaster, like, as just like a hey, you're here and I have to choose between you and a book. Like that was probably the easier part of that for me. Whereas, like, all right, you've got something over here, something over there, something over here, something over there, and you got to figure out how it fits together. That felt more like an escape room, and I was just like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing here, but like, we made it work. We made it happen.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know, it was good, but it was challenging, and I liked that.
What's up, Cece?
Oh no, I was just gonna say we had a question in the chat.
Do we?
From Yes Anderson. Speaking of the big NPCs, if you could hang out with one NPC in real life, who would it be? By the way, they can't use magic. Sorry, just vibes.
NPC.
I immediately have an answer.
Just vibes.
Who's your answer?
Marie Lynn.
Marie Lynn?
Marie Lynn.
Damn.
Why Marie Lynn?
She just seems so, like... I just feel like her and I could sit down over either, like, a cup of coffee or a cup of tea and just talk for hours. Like...
You mean Marie Lynn or Rosalind?
So Marie Lynn owns the place and is kind of stern and rough around the edges.
Okay, then Rosalind.
Yeah,
I confuse the two.
Yeah, Rosalind's the hostess.
Rosalind Temp is the warm, like, loving of the two. She's a lot more, like, gentle and kind, but, like, both are full of love.
Yeah. It's just the thing is, like, I feel like I could sit down with both of them, either one-on-one or with the pair of them, and we would just have an amazing time. 100%.
Yeah, you want to hang out with Gormrog's mothers?
Yeah. As Cece, not as Finnick. Although Finnick would love to sit down and have a chat with them.
Yeah, sure. What about you, Tess?
I'm trying to go over every NPC in my mind because I don't want to choose one of my own NPCs, but my mind
Fine, I'll do it.
My mind keeps going back to Aster. Aster's great. Aster in real life would be the person sitting here playing Dungeons and Dragons with us. She's like Cece. She's got the colorful hair and she's really chill and she's young and she just wants to do stuff.
Stop.
But also she's like really creative and she makes honey and she travels and she works side by side with Keyleth, and I don't know, Aster's just really a chill
Note
vibe.
to self. Note to self, learn to make honey.
Let's make honey and befriend Keyleth.
Shit, I gotta work on that one.
So that's close enough.
Jem's Keyleth is amazing though.
Close enough.
What?
Yeah, so my answer is Aster.
What you got though?
I love Quell. I know he's the one who asked the question, but I can't.
He's also not an NPC.
I was gonna say, does he count as an NPC?
No.
I mean, he's not one of the main player characters, but just all right, fine. If I had to pick an NPC, somebody that Joe played, it'd still be a Clover one. I'd go Lyndon. Dude was forthright and honest about everything, and his heart was always in the right place, and even when he got messed up, he's still trying to do the right thing to the best of his ability. Like, he just seems like such a genuine and good person. So, like,
Lyndon's good.
Well, I'll ask, when you made those characters and you kind of gave me those descriptions, Taz, what did what did your vision of them look like compared to how they ended up coming out in the story?
You played Aster very well. The way her characteristics and personality really shined through the way that I wanted them to. But you gave her a southern accent. That pissed me off.
Joe's got two accents that he can do.
It was like, Lyndon and Clover, neither of us who you've played have a southern accent, so why would Aster have
She just likes to use it. It's not her accent. She just puts it on to sound unique from the rest of you.
And then Lyndon, I intended Lyndon to be a lot tougher and more. I mean, he was a guard, you know. I didn't expect him to be so chill and ready to go along with us and down for whatever, but I actually prefer how you made him, except when he died so easily. Like, I feel like he would have been stronger than that. But no, I was very pleased with how you played my NPCs so far.
What about you, Dom? The NPCs that you've kind of written into your backstory, how do you feel like the vision of them came through?
Marie Lynn and Rosalind were Donalds. I hit you with a few for the Cobalt Reserve that you've played. So Alabaster, like I just mentioned, he was the albino lizard folk. There were a couple, like Liliana at the desk.
Liliana.
Oh yeah, got you blushing hard on that
say,
one.
Cece?
No, I got nothing to say. Nothing at all.
To say,
Yeah.
Nothing. I'm not saying nothing.
I love all of the people who Gormrog falls in love with. We've got Liliana, we've got Polaris. It's great.
No, because like that was also the first time that Gormrog got a sense of either Finnick's jealousy or the fact that she was kind of into Gormrog. Was with Liliana.
Mm-hmm.
Totally.
Liliana was always meant to be potentially a love interest, but never actually a love interest. And I think, Joe, you embodied that excellently.
That was great.
Where there was interest on both parts, there was shared interests, there was commonality, there was the kindness that she had always shown Gormrog, even when he had first got to the city of Westruun. He was bullied and set apart because he was a member of the Rivermaw, and had tusks and a scrunched up nose and was poor and whatever else. But she was always that kind person to just reach her hand out and just be like, no, it's okay. There are people who can see past all that and just recognize you as a person and what you bring to the table inherently, and like that kindness, that genuine caring for everybody really shone through on her, and I liked that.
Did you answer, Joe? Who would you hang out with? But you can't say Rainer because he's pretty much your PC at this point.
I would have serious questions if that was your answer. Dude.
Probably Bramble. I'd want to just because I would just go out somewhere with him and be like, just set him loose on a group of people and just laugh at the results.
Good time. Can you imagine Bramble and Joe at a bar together?
Oh my god, yes. It would be a nightmare.
Yes, I can. I can absolutely imagine that.
Respectfully, it's a nightmare.
You don't understand. I introduced Joe to my friend, and my friend is a musician, and the two of them immediately hit it off. And I don't think either one of them remembers that night. Best friends instantly, and just neither one of them is like, who? Joe? I'm sorry, I don't remember. Joe's just like, Evan? I don't remember. I'm sorry. And it's just like, y'all were inseparable
Yeah.
Immediately, and I feel like that would be the same with Bramble.
Yeah. What about you, CC? Out of the characters you've kind of written into your backstory, how do you feel like they
I
translated
wouldn't
onto
want to
this?
hang out with any of them.
No, how do you feel Joe did representing them?
Representing them, I think Joe did great. The manipulation was such a strong point where I'm sitting here like, I sat here and I'm like, am I being gaslit right now? And then it's just like, yes, you are. That's how you wrote the people in your backstory. And I'm like, okay, shit, yeah, you're right. But, well, and it's just the fact is like, I only really written in like solid stone 3 NPCs in my backstory. Everything else I sort of left up to Joe. But Joe has been great because I was sitting here like, hey, Finnick grew up in Vasselheim. She would know Pike, right? And so Joe went along with it. He's like, absolutely, you would know Pike. But yeah, because I only had 3 solid NPCs that I'm like, these are people that are like these are like the founding stones of Finnick's backstory. Taz, hydrate.
Don was the one who did this.
Yeah,
so
hydrate anyway.
But overall, Joe did a great job of like incorporating, and like eventually when we got closer to Finnick's arc, he sent me a list of being like, hey, here's NPCs that Finnick would recognize that were involved with your parents or whatever. The thing is, I had no idea about the Inquisition like aspect of it.
Nobody ever expects the Inquisition.
Well, they came about directly from your parents and the mission you left.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I guess they interacted on the mission that Finnick was just like, nope, I'm out. And so
they brought that back with them.
Well, it's not my fault, so yeah. No, Joe's done a great job, and I still think about the time where Finnick was alone in the Citadel with her mother, but we'll get to that later.
Yeah. Okay. It's at this point you guys head to the Lord Mayor's residence to kind of debrief her, and you see a airship approaching. A little bit of an alarms go off as it was an unexpected thing. Clover is prepared to shoot the airship with a crossbow bolt before you actually make contact, find out that it is in fact Percy and Pike making their way over in this airship post the Whitestone attack. They go on to explain to you that Vox Machina was attacked in Whitestone, Grog was killed, the Titanstone Knuckles were taken, and Percy lost his leg in the battle against the avatars of the Primordials. It is this point Percy gifts the fist with the Skyward Seraph, your airship, and the elemental stones that make up 2 of the kind of defensive features of this ship are elemental in nature, and they react with Nox. And Whisper can feel that, as well as another. This is the first point where I think she really starts to feel the vibrations of the other blades, and start to become like a real point in the story. But Nox attempts to drag control from Whisper. She kind of escapes into another room, and black tendrils appear out of her now corrupted arm and begin to attack the fists. What's up, Cece?
I was gonna say, because in the Dawn Warden Grove, Whisper did feel the vibrations from the elemental energy, like from that one tree.
Right. Yeah. Well. The stones that were inside the druid circle.
Yeah, but
yeah,
that was really cool though.
Yeah, kind of build up each little plot point there. All right, 47. you guys have a battle with Whisper against Nox, where I think this is the first time you use protection against good and evil to help Whisper wrestle control away from Nox. And it becomes pretty clear at this point that you guys need to do something to stop this corruption from Whisper and the Nox Blade. So I think it's at this point you guys decide to go after the life blade that is in Vasselheim, because you kind of, I think during one of the research things, found out that the life and the death blade are opposites, and they can kind of balance each other out. Or there are people in Vasselheim that could potentially separate the soul from the blade, if that is what you guys decided to do. It's at this point...
I do want to ask about that. Like, the soul is bound to the blade, and then once they're separated from the blade, they're dead, right? Like, we have to kill them to separate them, but once they're separated, they can be brought back?
Yeah.
Okay.
So if we were to do it with Whisper, it would have been, we had to kill Whisper and then have somebody cast, like, True Resurrection or something? Or Revivify?
Revivify is what...
Revivify worked.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, because the Nox Blade's part on the soul can't obviously go to another plane, it just gets pulled away.
Yeah, it's just a thing where it's like, yeah, the Nox Blade attached it to part of her soul, so we don't know what part of Whisper we would have lost if we tried to separate her.
Yeah, and obviously there'll be more repercussions for those things, but...
Yeah.
But yeah, that would be the... Plus, you don't even know if the spell Revivify would work, because it could fail.
That is true.
You'd run that risk as well. But, it's at this point, you guys kind of return back to the airship platform and see that the city is under attack by elemental forces, as there is explosions of fire and large pillars of stone erupting from the ground. Actually, I take that back. There's no stone, if I'm remembering. There's only fire.
Yeah.
Because Sammy is not there. Raynor makes his way up to the platform. On the ground, he kind of approaches the platform where he, removing himself from the city, faces off against all of you, pulling his eye patch back for the first time, I believe, revealing this, like, golden orb in his eye socket, which quickly shoots a 9th level fireball at all of you. That is absorbed by Percy using his cloak, which I cannot remember the name right now. Anyways, the Fists and Pike climb into the ship as Percy engages with Raynor, and you all take off towards Vasselheim. Spend a little bit of time getting acquainted with the ship, and as you pass by the Iron Seat Ridge, you see that it is being reignited as lava is beginning to pour out from the top of the mountain and flow down into the valleys below, decimating massive swaths of forests and valley land, and any potential food that was being grown in that space. Fennec is the one who knows that this is the former throne of the Fire Primordial in the time before they were bound. Clover and Tristan have a conversation about he is a grounding element for her. Yes.
We kind of have a conversation. I tell him something and then he goes completely silent and then doesn't talk to me for 3 days. So, you know.
Tomato, tomato.
What's a conversation with Tristan? That's usually how that goes.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of really long ones since then. What's up, CC?
I was just gonna say that the reference to the throne in the mountains kind of brings me back to the audition one shot, because
which is where the crumbs were starting with me laying out the long-term plot of this story.
Well, because like the thing is like I basically played a different version of Finnick in the audition one-shots. And one of the lines she said or wanted to say, because I had messaged you, Joe, there was a line I wanted to say, but I kept getting interrupted. That's just like, my mama told me that I'd sit on that throne one day. So that was something that happened in the audition one shot, and so seeing that thrown again in the actual series, I'm sitting here like, oh, I see what you're doing. I see what you're doing. And now I'm sitting here like, I wonder if that one guy from the one-shot audition is like trying to pull this shit still.
Well,
you just ruined his surprise.
No.
I totally did.
No. The part of that was kind of like the seating was the I can't remember what they're called right now, the fire dwarf people, and how they had set up a base camp at the base of the mountain.
Okay.
Kind of leading to the pushing of elemental creatures back into the material plane.
Azers,
that's it. Thank you.
But back to that session, that moment with Tristan. Clover asked Tristan to play a song for her because it was like his music that was grounding for her, and he rolled a natural 20. And that was his first natural 20 on music. And then, as you guys know, just a few sessions ago, we were all playing poker, and Clover asked Tristan to play music for everyone, and he rolled another natural 20. I think Clover's his muse. I don't know.
It's a chance.
From here, Finnick has a nightmare about her father on the bow of the airship, taunting and chains slinking behind her, wrapping her in them as she wakes up.
Scary.
That's fun. Oh yeah, it was great.
Episode 48 is pretty quick. Conversations between characters during the journey about how they feel about each other. Whisper turns into a bird and flies along with Talon. Whisper turning into a bird for the first time as she has now gained the level of to fly. And Finnick gets a haircut.
Okay, I want to talk about the haircut real quick because Clover rolled, because like Finnick had asked Clover for help on this, and Clover rolled so well on this that she essentially almost got it. Like, she almost got a nat 20, but she rolled better than a 20, and it was just like, I love that movement between Clover and Finnick.
Me too. I love that everyone comes to Clover to ask them to cut their hair.
Well, because like Whisper had done, like Whisper got herself a haircut and she did it herself.
Oh yeah, you're right. She just borrowed my disguise kit and my scissors.
Yeah, but I love that interaction between Clover and Finnick.
Remind me, did Tristan cut his own hair or did someone do it for him? Because Tristan comes to cut his hair and I don't remember how it happened.
I don't remember when he does that.
I don't remember Tristan cutting his hair at all.
Same.
All right. Well, we are going to jump to break. We'll be back in a couple minutes and get back through the last, 20 episodes I think we got left?
Roughly?
Yeah, about 20 episodes. So stick with us, everyone. We'll be back in a couple minutes. See you soon.
See you soon.
And we're back.
Hello.
Friends.
And that ends episode 48. On to 49.
So, episode 49, we made our way to Vasselheim. Upon arrival, we spoke with Citron and requested his help getting all the leaders together to help us with the coming, what'd you call them? Avatars of the Primordials?
They've had a few names. Acolytes of the Primordials, Avatars of the Primordials.
The dudes with the swords.
Yeah.
Them's the ones. And he said he'd try. We explored Vasselheim. We had a big shopping episode because Vasselheim is cold and we needed new winter outfits. Finnick wound up seeing an acquaintance of her family's cult with the Inquisition, which triggered a panic attack and a trip swiftly back to our airship.
Trauma.
That was it for.
I would like to say, just because at this point Clover and Finnick's friendship is also getting stronger, that it was Clover who noted that Finnick was not okay and made everyone take her back. Just because I just want to remind you how much I love you.
I love you too. Dude. Finnick adores Clover so much. I just want you to know that.
Same.
I don't want to interrupt the love fest, so I'm just going to wait for the all clear before I keep going.
You can.
I just want to say how much I love Taz and Clover so much.
Same. Both Finnick and Cece are the best. The best.
God, I'm blushing right now.
All right, back on it.
Episode 50. We spoke with Citron, told him we don't feel safe in the city. But we went to an inn. We wound up having a couple of our members speak with the Slayer's take. And then Gormrog ripped a sign off the wall for the Inquisition. Basically a sign that said, if you see something, say something. And Gormrog's just like, let me take this down. Let me just hold on to this real quick. We met a dwarf missing a hand and part of his face with 2 kids and a Goliath.
Words are hard.
I have a speech impediment and I am tired, so I apologize that I'm flipping back into that. But they tell us of a secret individual who's offering free healthcare unregulated by the government.
Monster.
Right. How dare they?
Clearly needs to be taken down.
Underground crime of the worst kind. The Inquisition barges in to the inn, being all intimidating. Because they had noticed that a sign had been damaged, and they were immediately alerted to that. Gormrog stepped up to confront them, was threatened with arrest, and the pair stepped towards the dwarf, the one we had just spoken to. And we ended on a cliffhanger there. Episode 51 begins with the battle. The 2 Inquisition members versus us. We dispatched them and made our way back to the airship. There were a few conversations, including one with Tristan and Clover, on the deck of the airship before the 2 of them.
That was our big one. That's the one I've been talking about.
Do you want to take a moment and talk about it?
Yeah, I was like, yo, why the fuck are you ignoring me? And he was like, I don't mean to. And I'm like, okay, well, then if you don't mean to, why are you doing it? And he's like, because I love my fiance. I was like, you have a fiance? Yes, and I love her, and I don't know if she's alive or dead. Well, then let's go find out if she's alive or dead. But I'm scared, because if she dies, I'm going to be really sad. Well, you're really sad, and you don't know if she died, so you're going to be sad both ways. It was pretty much like that.
Just like that.
I want that for the entirety of the rest of the episodes that we have to catch up on. Just Taz just going back and forth between everybody. Like, that was incredible. Like,
that was great.
Thank you.
So in addition to this horrifically dramatic conversation about fiancés versus new loves, the 2 of them spotted somebody watching our airship. Clover snuck around the backside of the airship. Backside. And Gormrog and Tristan went down the ramp to intercept them. And we ended on another cliffhanger. Episode 52 starts with us chasing after this old man who had been spying on us. Dodgy, weird-looking, likes to watch type old man.
Yeah, he does.
His name, we find out, is Norville.
Great guy. Loved him.
Norville. And we rolled some insight checks and found out he's a fairly trustworthy guy. We had rolled like 20 somethings. He's a fairly trustworthy guy.
Gormrog thought he was a fairly trustworthy guy.
Gormrog thought he wasn't directly lying to us. But we set it up so that he would watch the Inquisition for us, and we set up a dead drop crate that we never ever checked. We rested for the night, and Citron came in the morning, and we debriefed him on everything that had been going on. We agreed to stay the night in his keep north of the city, where we learned that there was a gala in 3 days' time. And at the gala, we will be able to plea for allies like we had originally requested, though be warned, potential enemies will also be present, including Finnick's parents and potentially oppositional individuals. Now, obviously, once you learn that there's a gala, the only logical thing to do next is to get outfits, right? You have to go shopping. And once we did that, Whisper used her divining rod of the Noxblade to discover a young elven girl in the Verdant Terrace named Seraphina. We discovered her hidden alcove. Bless you. Discovered her hidden alcove where we had a few conversations. And Whisper had a conflict with the Noxblade over who was controlling who. And just as she recovers control, the Inquisition finds the alcove. And we end on another cliffhanger.
I'd like to say that after that incredibly dramatic conversation between Clover and Tristan, where he says, "I like you, but I have a fiance and I love her," he then tells the seamstress who is making our outfits that he wants the trim of his robes to be the exact same color orange as my dress so that he can match me.
Also, I cannot tell you how much fun I had trying to come up with Finnick's gala outfit.
I really
just sitting here like, what the fuck would she wear?
Yeah, I really enjoy giving you guys the opportunities to like change your outfits up for like the different like looks and seeing what you guys come up with. I love
my outfit.
Same. I drew Finnick in her gala outfit. But
I hope
then
we have
at the last minute, I decided to fucking change it.
I hope we have another ball so I can wear it again.
Finnick will throw you a dance.
Okay. Fair. If we survive.
We will.
There's a whole lot of like tentative plans if we survive.
Oh yeah, because Finnick needs to take Clover to some rolling hills. Gormrog and Finnick still have their date.
I don't have any outstanding plans.
I have a question. Is Finnick now the sole heir of a keep?
Oh shit!
What?
I guess if they haven't changed the will in the last 3 or 4 years. Hey guys, we have a place in Vasselheim. Let's do it up.
Well, what? I mean, the land is destroyed because of all the star spawn that were coming out from underneath, but
Hey,
and the giant hole in the throne room area.
Yeah, it's
we have a druid who can heal the land, and I have mending. It might take me fucking days, but it's fine.
We're not up to that part of the recap yet, guys.
Anyways.
No, but I love that. Well, we do have a question from Hans left over from last week, if we want to get into it.
Yeah, we can.
It was, who's your favorite New Age geek, and why is it Rima?
So episode 53 started with the battle with us and the Inquisition.
I haven't met Rima yet, so...
You need to. Rima's amazing. I love her. But I can't lie. I have so many favorite New Age geeks. It's just like when you call someone your best friend, but then you also have like 5 other best friends. Like I have so many best friends. But then like
I have spent the most time in person with Dom, and we had a fantastic time in New York together. I have spent the most time talking to Cece, and I just love you. You're just...
I love you too.
And
I love you too.
When Jem and I shared a hotel room the first night when it was just the 2 of us, we stayed up talking for like 6 hours. We just talked for like 6 hours in bed, like playing games and taking shots. It was great. So I don't know, I've got really great moments with all of you. And then of course there's nothing can really compare to Joe singing along to alternative 90s classic rock music as loud as possible outside of a cabin. So
oh, that was fun.
It was certainly something.
So yeah, everybody's got their moments.
That is very true.
Episode 53 started with...
Who's your favorite New Age geek, Dom?
Joe?
Skip over the question. Clover cast invisibility on Sarah. Tristan took up a defensive position at the entrance of the alcove, and I'm not answering that question intentionally.
I have an answer.
Obviously.
You have an answer as to who your favorite is?
Well,
Go ahead.
It's similar to like Taz. It's like I don't have a singular favorite, but I have reasons why I love everybody. Because like, so like starting with like Hans, we spent like 11 hours in the car together.
Oh God.
And the thing is like we had fun, we had conversations, we like listened to music and we talked, and it was a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun sharing a hotel room during Gen Con. Like we've hung out multiple times outside of like Gen Con or stream, and it's been fun. Rima is an absolute fucking delight to be around. They're so kind.
I'm excited to meet Rima and Hans.
You need to.
So I'm gonna meet her then.
Joe, you're fun to be around. Like like you and I have so many like deep like conversations, and we're able to connect super easily, and I enjoy that. Like getting to talk about anything and everything. Dom, you are such an absolute pleasure to talk to. Like you are able to keep up with my ADHD moments. Super kind and chill, and we're able to have those like heart-to-hearts. And then also like just the roleplay moments, whether it be during Forging Fates or Queer and Present Danger. It's so much fun.
They're so good.
Taz, I absolutely adore you. Like at Gen Con, having those like conversations, getting to hang out together. Also, you and Joe and Jem and Adam were so much fun to photograph. When we were doing the Mighty Nine.
Like big scary dog. What is that? What it's called? Big scary
dog privileges. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a moment I'll never forget. That's one of my favorite moments.
I could go on and on, but I know we still need to continue the recap. So
yes.
I love everybody. Everybody
Brad's
that's
my favorite New Age geek.
Brad is awesome. Honestly,
awesome.
Tuning into every stream.
What a fucking
Brad is awesome.
Chad.
Did you say Chad?
Yeah, what a Chad.
Brad.
Yeah, I know. Brad is a Chad.
No, just Brad rules. That's it. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, he rules.
And shout out to our lurkers, the people who show up every week and don't say anything. We see you. You in there.
Nick
Oh,
is
Nick is great too. Nick is great.
Shout out to what's it called? Yes, Anderson, for everything he's done for us.
Yeah. Oh,
and November.
There's so many people. Yeah.
Number 2.
Sarah.
Sarah, our favorite geek. Well, one of our favorite geeks. Joe for bringing us all together. The people who are no longer with us, like
Kuma,
like the guy Kuma, absolutely.
Kuma, we miss
Joe,
you so much.
The people from the Phoenix, right, who helped us get started.
Yeah,
there's too many. Like,
there's so many favorite.
Hey,
Yeshmo, thank you for the Prime sub.
That's what I'm talking about. Somebody listens to me when I say my little spiel at the beginning.
Thank you.
Anyways,
we love you all so much, and you can be a New Age geek too.
Drop the Discord link.
I am.
The Inquisitors engaged in a battle with all of us and wound up killing Sarah, this little elven girl. But we managed to kill the Inquisitors. Whisper, on the encouragement from Nox, picked up the Lifeblade and bound it to herself as well. Her corrupted black arm now gaining a golden spiral around it. And that's where 53 ended. Episode 54, we returned to the Platinum Dragon's temple, where we engaged in the ritual bringing Sarah back to life. She was not happy about the way things happened. The Fists discussed plans to move in temporarily with Citron. Clover tried to control Sarah, to no avail.
I did not control Sarah.
Console.
Oh, console. Okay.
Sorry if I misspoke. I meant to say console. I apologize if it came out
Words
differently.
are hard. It's okay.
I'm sorry.
Clover tried to make Sarah feel better, and Sarah was not having it. She was being a bratty teenager.
Being a little brat.
Yeah.
I'm still offended by it. That's why I blew up. It wasn't you. It was her.
Dude, Sarah was such a brat. It was insane.
You stole away her best friend.
We brought her back to life and tried to give her
a
sanctuary with in so many different places. We gave her options.
You took her best friend.
She do? She called the guards on me. Sorry, Dom.
An Inquisitor arrives and confronts Finnick. Whisper, Gormrog, and Finnick are immediately arrested. Finnick is taken separately. Tristan and Clover try to escape, but ultimately they were caught, thrown in irons as well. With the four fists together, Tristan putting up a ruckus was knocked out, and they were thrown in jail. Yes, Cece.
I was just gonna say that's where Finnick confronted the Inquisitor, because the Inquisitor was just like, your parents want to see you, and I'm like, I'll go willingly as long as you don't promise to harm them. And that's why Finnick was taken separately.
Yeah. And just before you were taken away, you told Gormrog, don't make a scene. Like,
yeah, because I handed you my bag of holding and said, don't make a scene.
Yeah. He said, just cooperate.
Mm-hmm.
And that was really hard. But Norville shows up, that old guy from earlier who likes to watch, and he revealed himself as a disguised high-ranking member of the Inquisition, the Grand Inquisitor Darius Blackwood. He also revealed that he had been using slugs or worms or something on us to track us, which is how no matter where Tristan and Clover were hiding, they were found. Finnick was brought to her mother, the queen of Gaslight, Gatekeep, Girl Boss. And Finnick eventually, in her childhood bedroom, slipped into another bout of madness and fell unconscious.
That was the first time you maxed out the stress level.
Yeah, that was the first time I maxed it out, because I guess during that scene, it was just like, because once I was brought there, you had me roll. Once I saw my mother and started talking with her face to face, you had me roll. And so, like, I think the threshold was 10
Yeah, I think so.
on our chart. And between the two rolls combined, I had rolled a 9.
Yeah.
And so it's just like, okay, I'm on the brink of madness. And so I thought it was really fitting that, like, once I got to my childhood bedroom, that I absolutely broke.
Yeah, that worked out really well.
The dice want to tell a story, man. I am curious what would have happened if Finnick broke in front of her mother.
She would have tried to manipulate you and try to get you.
Because at least with, like, the short-term madness that I had rolled, it's like I got into, like, a combined fit of laughing, weeping, and, like, laughing.
Laughing?
Crying, like, weeping, or, like, it was like some combination of, like it was basically like Finnick had fallen into a state of hysteria.
Okay.
Didn't know how to process around her. So it's like if she had fallen into that in front of her mother, I'm curious what would have happened.
She would have tried to comfort you, try to manipulate you into thinking that she was that your memories were altered in the past in some way. She was going to lie to you and say that whatever had happened at the island actually...
You did that anyways, so I guess
she was going to lean more into it, because she kind of was it got to the point where she was just like, all right, just go to your room.
Yeah. Well, and that's also where I whipped out the line. It's just like, we'll do anything to get your forgiveness. And Finnick said, then fucking rot.
Right.
Yes, that was such a moment. Such a moment. I loved that. I still love that.
It was a good moment, I'm not gonna lie. Because, like, again, that's one of my favorite roleplay moments is between Finnick and her mother. Just, like, the manipulation, the Finnick trying to see through the bullshit, but I'm not gonna lie, both me as a role player, I'm sitting here like, what the hell is he talking about? Like, what is my mother spewing on about? Like, there's a moment where I actually questioned it. Gaslight, gatekeep, girl boss. Like,
true.
So, back at the cells of the jail, Darius Blackwood intimidated and inquisitated, attacking with slugs coming out of his hands. Clover managed to avoid his attack, and when brought back to her cell, Gormrog was taken next, who attempted to negotiate. Didn't work out too great. But while Gormrog was in the what would you call that room, Joe?
Interrogation.
Interrogation. That's the word I couldn't think of. I knew it started with in. The interrogation room. Clover warned Whisper about the line of questioning. So that when Gormrog was brought back, Whisper transformed into a bat and escaped out the window. Finnick has a nightmare of a chained oblivion, fought her way out of the nightmare, and woke to find chain marks burned on her. I do want to point out that in later episodes, Cece used makeup to emulate that, which was absolutely fantastic. Just
thank you.
a subtle thing, but That was good. I like that a lot.
I had a lot of fun doing it. I love doing like those like fun makeup effects. So I'm like, oh, you say Finnick has now a burn mark? Let's go for it.
I liked the way you and I both did our makeup for the Battle of Vasselheim.
That was great.
Yeah, that was good too. Whisper, as a bat, finds Pike's temple to Saren Ray, the Everlight. The Inquisition was there, but being turned away. They tried to attack, but Pike in full armor dispatched them. Whisper spoke with Pike. The Platinum Guard was alerted, and the crew attacked the Dawn Riders' Keep. Finnick escaped her childhood bedroom tower in a blaze of fire, leaping out of the window. The fists were broken out of jail, and we all had this epic Avengers moment reconnecting.
That was so good.
And just in time, Clover remembered to wake up Tristan.
Yes. Eventually, we get back to our airship and headed to the Frostfang Citadel to the north of Vasselheim, where Citrin resides. Episode 56, we are flanked by the Platinum Guard, and our airship flies north. We had discussions about what had happened, our trials and questionings. And when we arrive, we get a tour of the hangar and the mess hall. We have a brief discussion before we are brought up to a large gathering space for the Platinum Guard. We met the high-ranking officials. We gathered information on the history of the Blades, how they were shattered, the Devil Moloch, his attempted merging with the Chained Oblivion. We learned about the Inquisition being made up of disguised Star Spawn, and Darius Blackwood being a Star Spawn emissary.
No, that was
That was your recap.
Oh, okay. I messed that up. He wasn't a Star Spawn emissary. He was a Star Spawn larva mage.
Good to know.
Yeah,
We
I
knew
don't think
that
I've ever said that before.
We knew that there was an emissary at the top.
Yeah.
We assumed it was Darius.
Oh, maybe that's what I meant in my recap.
So, Darius being a larva mage would make a lot of sense given the arm of things.
Worms.
The squirmy, wormy. However, Finnick, knowing what her powers are, managed to summon a Star Spawn. It looked very familiar, and it called her sister, which triggered a whole bunch of memories of a not-so-great time in her life, before Finnick dismissed it, and it melted into a whole bunch of those slugs. Whisper senses a fire growing in the east, and that's where we ended episode 50. What was that?
56.
56? Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie, I was so caught off guard by the whole sister thing.
Yeah, that was a lot.
That
Cormac
threw
was
me
faced with
for a loop.
How would you feel if I was a worm question?
Oh, I forgot about that. It was just because that whole role play moment between Finnick and Cormac, I can't believe I forgot about that. It's just that whole thing is just like, I don't know how I would feel if you were a bunch of worms.
Yeah, that I'd have to reconsider some things.
Yeah.
That
was another great role play moment.
And Taz was like, I would still love you if you were a worm.
It was great.
Damn it.
True. I would make
was
you a
going
little
to say it, but
on the desk, and I would keep you in it, and you'd have sand and little palm trees and snacks, and it would be really nice.
I love that though, because again, this whole thing is like, would you love me if I was a worm? But in D&D terms, essentially.
I think it's a bit worse but you know, sure. Go
A
off, Queen.
little bit, yeah. Speaking of Queen, anyways,
Yes.
so picking up at episode 57 with the gala coming up, we prepare ourselves at the Frostfang Citadel. We get to gear ourselves up a bit. Joe had that randomized item list for us to essentially pick an item from, where Gormog and Clover both got like defender swords of some type. There was a short sword and a rapier.
I got my defender rapier. It's been amazing.
I forgot what Tristan picked. Oh, the Dragon Slayer sword. Dragon Slayer sword. Whisper got the Rod of Security, and then Finnick picked the animated
rod.
shield.
Fucking
We'll
rod.
get to that. We'll get to that.
And now water. What
Hydrate.
do I do?
But episode 57 was the first episode of the gala, so we got our gala and outfits after that. And we also discussed our plan on what to do and who to talk to during the gala. We made our entrances, and Clover went to go talk to the Hierophant, but got stopped by a halfling. I forgot his name.
I don't know, but he ended up being a loser.
Well, because he ended up working for the Liger Corporation.
No, he was in charge of trade.
No,
in
he knew
Vasselheim.
of them.
Yeah.
He knew of them.
But
he asked Clover for a dance.
Bitch and wouldn't help us because he was too scared.
But yeah, because you stopped Clover and asked you for a dance.
And I guess.
And you learned a little bit about your heritage, about what Herringons were.
Not from
what
him.
there's. Oh, never mind.
I talked to somebody else, and she told me more about the.
Oh, okay, thank you. Finnick, Gormog, and Whisper made their way to the dining hall, and then while they were in the dining hall, they were greeted by the Grand Inquisitor, where they spoke. Greeted. They spoke with the Grand Inquisitor, and Finnick began to learn some disturbing things about herself and her past. And in a fit of rage, Finnick confronted her parents, pitting her mom against the wall, and then learning that the Chained Oblivion had plans for Finnick, saying that she was the soon-to-be queen, in quotation marks. And then during that time is when we sort of figured out that there was, that my parents were sort of being mind controlled. And then also that there were a lot of people, sort of. They were still assholes before, they're assholes now, or were assholes. But there was a lot of Inquisitors or people being controlled by the Inquisitors at the gala.
And then this is where you have the moment where everyone just kind of looks over at you at the same time.
Yeah, that was a weird visual of just like everybody stopping and staring. That weirds me out. As somebody with social anxiety, hell
and that's
no.
The second time that you've done that, because you also did that back in Western at the beginning when we had the meeting with the face mask guy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, with the clasp.
Yeah.
So they weren't like.
Right, that wasn't like in unison like this was. That was just them all
No,
like.
yes, it was. They all stood up from their seat. They were all sitting down casually, and then all of a sudden they all stood up from their seats and stared at our table, and they did not sit back down or stop looking at us until our meeting ended. I know.
That's true. But hopping into part 2 of the gala, there was a very tense conversation between Finnick and Valeria. where it was made clear that there was a plan for Finnick. It was just up to her whether she decided to embrace it or not. This is where Tristan's fiance and cousin were spotted, where we find out that his ex-fiance is engaged to his cousin. And then he stepped outside before returning, where there was a very emotional conversation between them, where we find out that like they thought Tristan was dead because his uncle found his body. There was a whole lot of weirdness surrounding Tristan. Tristan like went into a rage and shifted, but then after that he wasn't able to turn back. Gormrog and Tristan stepped outside at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Where again it was a whole conversation. Finnick and Whisper tried to talk to Grandmaster Aldrich, and it did not go well. He did not seem to like care as much, or he was like off put by the things that Finnick and Whisper were saying. And then Clover shouted the emergency phrase before disappearing and ended up breaking into the vault where in the temple that the gala was being held.
I was under a lot of stress. And in my sadness, I remembered that Whisper said, hey, when we get in there, you should break in because I bet they got a lot of cool stuff. Yes, a lot had happened between then and now, but how was I supposed to know that she still didn't want me to do that?
Well, because it's the thing, it's like, you shouted the emergency phrase, and then you disappeared. We didn't know where you went. And after Finnick and Whisper could not figure out where you went, Finnick stormed outside, just sort of getting frustrated, and then Whisper went to go grab Tristan. And then that brings us into episode 59, the Gala, Part 3, Electric Boogaloo.
Listen, it's hard coming up with all these episode titles.
But
I think that one was me.
Yeah, that was definitely you.
In my notes from the session where I ran off into the thing by myself, my notes just say, you ruin everything, you stupid.
But,
About myself.
So, we start episode 53 with Tristan running outside to grab Finnick, to tell me that Clover was in trouble. Finnick then stormed outside and shouted aggressively into the crowd, Gormrog, where the fuck are you? Trying to find him.
Mm-hmm.
Causing a scene, as Finnick is known for.
As you do.
I do recall.
As you do. And then Pike came to help us, and we went down to where Clover was, because Finnick had sent her ascending spell asking where she was. On our way down there, we persuaded a guard.
This was so
and then
fucking
ended up
bananas
knocking
dealing
a
with
few
this.
of them out. It was so chaotic.
Ugh.
But then the thing is like Clover escaped the situation without letting us know because she was invisible. So
And then I managed to fix it all by
I was
using
getting to that. Because Clover managed to put the key that she had stolen from the guard into an Inquisitor's pocket, framing them for the shit that was going on.
And I'm sure they deserved it because they were.
Oh, 100%. But then, we all stepped outside and decided to talk to a few of the religious leaders that were outside of this temple. Gormrog, Whisper, Clover, and Tristan decided to head back inside to talk to more people, and Finnick stayed outside. Finnick had a mental breakdown during this episode. As you do. Well, because it was that first moment of quiet that she had gotten through this entire night of the gala. Had that breakdown and had a desperate prayer to Bahamut. I do have to say that is one of my favorite moments that me as a performer has done during this campaign. That prayer I had, because I'm not gonna lie, I had pre-written it, but it's also the emotion and the desperation of it all was so satisfying to roleplay. And then Finnick ended up getting a response from Bahamut, because thing is, I had rolled a religion check, I had rolled a natural 1, and I decided to use a magical guidance to give me advantage on the roll, essentially, and that turned out much better. And then again, that discussion, that roleplay moment between me and Bahamut, essentially, like Joe, that moment was phenomenal.
When the canary showed up, I remember seeing, like, I remember Jem and Dom's face, because they know, like, Bahamut lore, and when the canary showed up, you see both of their faces go like, it was great.
Just casually, just the dragons show up.
Yeah. Well, like, that was a very vulnerable moment, and being able to connect with a literal deity, essentially, was a very nice moment, and it definitely guided Finnick into what she decides to do in future episodes. So that wraps up episode 59, bringing us into 60, where after the gala, we head back to the Frostfang Citadel, where Finnick ends up having a nightmare again with the Chained Oblivion. But one thing I thought was really weird is, like, Citron had asked how Finnick slept that night. Finnick was very concerned, and it seems like he was aware that she had a nightmare. I wanted to ask you, Joe, about that.
He rolled an insight check on you and rolled well. Could see that something was bothering you.
Okay.
And I mean, he knew, like, because you had told him that you had spoken to Bahamut, so he was. That's why he was, like, reaching into it to see, like, how the night went.
You should have had me roll a deception check. I think that would have been really funny. Because, like, Finnick is not optimized for, like, ability checks. The one thing she's good at, deception. Like, that's the one thing she's good at.
Deception.
In episode 60, we ended up making a plan to attack the Inquisition at both of their known locations in Vasselheim. So the Dawnkeep Citadel and one other place that I cannot remember the name of.
It was the Inquisitor's location, I think.
Okay.
Whatever their place is called, I don't remember it at this time.
And then there was a few religious leaders present. I know for sure that Earthbreaker Grun was there. We had Pike there. A few other people. But then after that, Finnick took her oath to Bahamut, which is a really cool scene. Finnick.
Yeah, that was awesome.
That was such a great scene. 10 out of 10. Finnick just. However, Joe, you should have warned me that I would have had to do like the repeat after me thing. Because you started talking and I'm like, okay. And then you kept talking and I'm like, words.
Yeah.
But that was a lot of fun. And then Finnick essentially getting like an armor and weapon upgrade, as well as getting a wyvern. I was not expecting that at all. You can tell when like watching that back. I'm just like, what? A wyvern? Cool. That was a lot of fun. And that's actually when I got to respec Finnick. So originally she was an aberrant mind sorcerer. But during the oath, she got to respec into a divine soul sorcerer, sort of being cleansed of what had haunted her previously. And I think that was so much fun.
Yeah.
Because Joey had talked about that in the past.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I like that.
But then after that, Finnick took her wyvern Goldie, and ended up going on a joyride with Whisper and Talon, along with other wyvern riders. And then during that time, we found out Tristan was turning into an Abishi, which was a scary dragon creature.
Yep.
And then Whisper and Tristan had a conversation about the fight that laid ahead of us. Basically, like, we're going to fight this. We're going to put everything we have into it. And then that's where we ended episode 60.
And then Clover slept under Tristan's desk. And then that's... Sorry.
That is true. That is true. You did.
I like my cute little details.
Oh, they're awesome. And then episode 61. This one is an intense episode because it's literally 99.9% combat.
Mm-hmm.
Where so we start with us leaving the Frostfang Citadel, and then one of our battalions going to attack one location that I can't remember the name of, and then we head towards the Dawnkeep Citadel because our plan was to go attack Valeria. Everybody else was supposed to go attack Darius and his troops, and they were supposed to hit first so that the reserve troops would head over there to go assist them. But so we get there, we get the first wave of combat where we're mostly fighting like lower level inquisitors and guards outside of the Dawnkeep Citadel. We were able to get through that, and then we head into the Citadel itself, where Finnick sort of senses 3 people present in the chapel. We go to get through it, and we disarm the door because there was a trap on it. Joe, did you say it was like a delayed blast fireball? It was some sort of fire trap?
Yeah.
That would have fucked us up so bad.
Yep.
Which is kind of the point of traps, yeah.
I know, but like thing is like delayed blast fireball, you add a dice of damage for for each round that it sits there without going off. So depending on how long that trap was sitting there, that would have like killed us all instantly. Like, but so after disarming the trap, we head into the temple where we see Finnick's parents and Valeria sitting on the throne of the chapel. And so they try to have this conversation. Finnick wants to talk to her parents without the charm effect. They're fucking assholes. And then Valeria...
Without the charm effect, yeah.
And then charms them again to make them, oh, we're so present. We love you. You're amazing. And Finnick is like, oh, whatever.
Whatever.
There was... whatever. There was intense combat. Tristan was mainly keeping Finnick's parents occupied, and then the rest of us were attacking Valeria because we knew she was the biggest threat there. And then at the end of the episode, we leave off on Gormrog failing his last death saving throw.
The first official character death.
The first official PC death. And that was the first time I've ever cried regarding this game.
Yeah, that was a crazy episode.
I'm not gonna lie, that affected me psychologically. Like, that was insane. Well, and then in between, like, I'm gonna just tell the audience and Joe right now, in between episodes 61 and 62, after Gormrog's death, me, Taz, Jem, we were talking and planning for 2 weeks on how we were going to be able to bring Gormrog back to life and still survive this fight. like we had our little group chat going. Taz and I met up in a VC.
We had a phone call.
We had a phone call that lasted almost like an hour and a half. Like, what can we do to ensure that we're able to get Gormrog back? Because we had to remember that Revivify, they can't be dead for more than a minute. And I'm sitting here like, okay, that's 10 rounds.
These rounds.
We have 10 rounds. And then literally, so at the beginning of episode 62, Damiano, I just have to commend you, applaud you, appreciate you for the recap you gave us, Gormrog.
The recap was so good. The recap was my first time like crying in this game.
It was.
The recap was so good.
It was so good because the thing is like it was so good. Then you hit me like you hit me with Finnick looked like an angel, and I'm sitting here like, God damn it, like that hit me. And then the line of just like, it's getting hard to breathe, I think I'm dead, that you ended on. And I'm like, you already have the knife in my chest and now you're just twisting it. Like, it was so good.
It was
heartbreaking, but it was so good.
It was good. You should put
99
that on Instagram.
99% of everything I do in Forging Fates, in Queer and Present Danger, in the moments between, in my actual life, is for the reaction that I can evoke out of people. All of my jokes, all of my serious moments, most of it is for reactions.
Well, you should clip it and post it to your Instagram because it's good. It's a good one.
Thank
If
you.
you don't, I will. But one thing I completely forgot about is like during this battle is that Pike was there. And she was right next to Gormrog. So Pike runs over, casts Revivify on Gormrog. And so I'm messaging like Taz and Jem like, he's up, what do we do? And I think it was during this time that Finnick had dealt 132 points of damage to Valeria in her big monstrous form. Joe, how did you feel with me dealing 132
You guys had some
points
big
of...
swings on damage, and I was like, Jesus Christ.
It was also right after Clover did like 90 damage or something.
Yeah.
So between the two of us in just one round, we did over 200 damage.
Yeah.
Well, and it was just that thing. It's like because of my vow of enmity from the Oath of Vengeance Paladin, I was able to gain advantage on both of my melee attacks, which were both natural 20s. I would like to clarify. Both natural 20s. So I was able to, with Divine Smite as well.
Yeah.
And then a Quicken Spell Lightning Bolt. I was able to deal 132 points of damage. Clover, a rogue, can deal so much damage. But anyways, the battle continues, but then Whisper, Gormrog, and Tristan were knocked unconscious during this time.
That's the point where I was like, oh no.
Yeah, because Joe, you were like, oh shit. But thing is like between me, Taz, and Jem, with the randomized item table where Whisper had grabbed the Rod of Security, we had been planning to use that just in case.
God, that was...
And so Finnick grabs a Rod of Security, teleports her and all of her allies into a paradise for 2 rounds, where they're able to recover, regain spell slots if they have them, like get themselves back in shape. And then they return, and Valeria is trying to burrow out of the Citadel, in which both of Finnick's parents die. I believe Tristan got the final blow on Finnick's father.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I
then
think the mother died from something else before
Valeria.
that. Yeah, well, I think Valeria killed her. Yes, Valeria killed her with one of her AoE attacks, yeah.
And then Finnick dealt the final blow to Valeria through an opportunity attack, giving herself 3 levels of exhaustion from a 3rd level Divine Smite, and then fell out of the sky into Gormrog's arms from both the exhaustion and her haste dropping. That's one of my new favorite tactics, is Finnick casting haste on herself and then just going fucking ham.
So I will say, Jem was not happy with me because she had been messaging me on the side about things to say after I caught you, and I didn't say any of them.
Really?
Mm-hmm. She was just like, "Oh, say this, say that, say this, say that, do it, kiss her, blah blah blah," and I'm like, all I did was like, "I got you, don't worry about it," and that was it. And like, she was just like, "You didn't do any of the things."
No kid.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I'm
No,
like, he's playing the long game. You gotta wait.
I was gonna say, because Finnick and Gormog have had the slow burn going for so long now.
Mm-hmm.
I both love it and I both hate it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's great.
I just want to tell the date.
Oh, I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it.
Mm-hmm. Got a whole day planned.
I'm looking forward to it. So that's the end of episode 62. Episode 63, we're all starting to head out of the Citadel, and Finnick decided to head back to the Frostfang Citadel to recover because she was so exhausted. Meanwhile, Gormrog, Tristan, Clover, and Whisper stayed back to help these small aberration creatures that were like mindlessly attacking everybody.
There were
Whisper,
swarms of them.
yeah. And Whisper unveils like she's able to turn into like a water elemental.
Mm-hmm.
And after everything went by a blur, the team regrouped at the Frostfang Citadel. So everybody was there and recovering. The next day, we find out that a piece of the water blade was taken by Darius out of the Platinum Dragon's vault. And we were just like, that's not a good thing. So we all immediately decide to head out to try to recover it. And then while we're on the ship, Tristan drops the L word to Clover, telling Tristan telling Clover that he loves her.
And she did not say it back, and now he's gone.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. But that's the end of episode 63. Bringing us to 64, where we continue to travel. Where there's there at one point is an emotional conversation between Finnick and Tristan. The group ends up playing blackjack. Clover wins, earning herself a painting from Whisper. And Clover also returns the jewelry to Whisper that she took while she was in Lyrangorn. And we arrive to Shamal Bay. If we want to get into episode 65, I can. Because I just want to appreciate the beautiful description of us arriving into Shamal Bay.
Yeah, I think finishing off, because that's the end of that arc too. That's a good ending spot for, I think, for people who want to jump in. They can catch up with the last episode as we start the next arc.
Yeah, episode 65 just starts with our arrival, that beautiful description. Finnick's useless tricks in front of the dock captain at Shamal Bay because she's trying to convince him to let Goldie in, but it doesn't work. It's fine.
And then there's the battle where you guys finally catch up to Darius.
The battle with Darius. Well, and also because Finnick reveals that she's spent a long time in Shamal Bay previously.
Yeah. Do you reunite with that shopkeeper? The inn owner?
After Clover falsifies documents to get us in.
Clover forges a note from the Platinum Dragon allowing us entrance because we were chasing a fugitive.
Mm-hmm.
And then, we have that big fight, and right before Tristan told Clover he loved her, he said, I'm going to fight for you. I'm going to kill that person for you. I'm going to protect you. And then he stayed downstairs. He didn't come up at all. Who killed Darius? Clover and Finnick.
High five.
But it is at that point that, yeah, you both take down Darius, as you've seen that he was infecting other people and trying to restart his little scheme there. Almost killing, popping one person against all of you, and then attempting to pop your former friend, but literally was only 5 feet short from getting into range before she popped.
Yeah,
saving her.
Thank God, because, oh God, what was her name? It started with an M.
I don't remember. I don't have my character stuff up. But yeah, she was literally 5 feet away from popping.
I'm glad she didn't die, honestly.
On top of everything else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you guys finally take down Darius. He turns into a bunch of worms that you guys promptly squish and explode with lightning.
I feel like, yeah. Is it okay if I recap 66 real quick?
Sure.
Because we have time. But that beach episode, essentially. Like, we had a mini beach episode, and like the role play from that was great. Because like I know like Whisper had turned into a seal and Clover had run off and Gormog has gone off on his own. Everyone was off on their own at some point.
It was so sad.
Right. But like
we've been through it.
We have. But I just want to appreciate the roleplay that Gormog and Finnick had at one point, where Finnick finds out like, hey, that's not the first time that Gormog has died.
Mm-hmm.
That was insane.
There's a reason I don't trust clerics.
Well, good thing I'm not a cleric then, huh?
You guys also pull the shard of the water blade off of Darius's belongings, I guess.
Yeah, and we headed back to Vasselheim.
Gormrog has it, and sorry, this shouldn't be said on air, but because I'm going to go to bed right after this, you can take that out of my D&D Beyond and put that into Gormrog's D&D Beyond.
I already put it on his. I already put it in his. You can just delete it from yours.
Oh.
Yeah, because at the end of the episode, when we had returned, we had like, so we finished our beach episode. We had some intense roleplay moments between like all of us, I feel like.
Yeah.
And then we returned to Vasselheim, found out that Sammy, with the Earth Blade, has begun to take over Vasselheim and started reconstructing the Earth Primordial. And Gormog decided to attune, like, made a decision to attune to the Water Blade.
Did you say that when we made it back to the ship, Tristan decided to stay back?
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Tristan, he left us a note saying he found someone who might be able to delay his curse, because he was cursed by Tiamat. So delaying his curse.
Any of us, and he
left a note. And then there was that heartbreaking moment where Clover thought she saw Tristan, but it was just someone who looked like Tristan.
I loved that. I was like, and you were like, oh, I don't want to actually talk to him. And then I was like,
yeah, well, I was confused. I was like, wait, but then you did that, and I was like, oh.
Yeah, I really wanted to gut punch you.
I thought you were someone else, and that was genuine.
This is genuine. No, I love that though.
I really wanted to gut punch Clover with that one.
Yeah, and you did. That was a genuine reaction for me.
Yeah, because Finnick and Clover had that intense roleplay moment of just like, everyone always leaves me. Everyone I care about leaves me. And Finnick was trying so hard to make it clear that she was not going to leave Clover by her own volition.
Yeah.
You say that now, but just you wait.
Finnick's not going to leave of her, again, I reiterate this, of her own volition. Finnick will not actively choose to leave this group.
But,
and like with the impact, like with the stuff that Clover has made clear, Finnick does not want to leave.
And Clover had a really good role-playing moment with Gormrog.
Yeah.
Where that was the second time I cried during this campaign. Because he's like, I want you around. I'm like, oh, okay. I'll stay, I guess.
But yes, as you guys have returned to Vasselheim, you see the gates, because you'd set security up, and Sammy tried to come in through the front gate and it was stopped by security. It has now got a large pylon of stone exploding through the extremely thick walls of Vasselheim. There are elementals swarming through the city, all stone. You don't see any fire. And one of the Dragon Platinum Guard said that there's been no reports of Raynor in the city. There's also swarms of like flying dust or stone
those
that
fucking like misfits or something
skinned a wyvern in the air.
Yeah, that like sentient dust material.
Yeah.
But
and yes,
no, because Finnick had gone off on Goldie to get closer and assess the situation.
Yeah. And yes, it ends with Gormrog attuning to the water shard. I love how where it like just absorbs into his chest and the chain just slides down. And then you hear the voice of Typhoon.
It's so good though.
And now Gormrog, expositor of the Cobalt Soul and Changebringer. Blade of the Tides.
Amazing.
All right. Well,
we're gonna have like 43 titles by the end of the campaign.
That's the point.
I love that though. Do you guys have any burning questions so far up until this point?
I want to know, out of all the villains you guys have kind of come across now, like all the different ones we've hit, which one have you felt has been the most either like interesting or the scariest, or which one?
I think I made it quite clear that the one that was the most impactful for Clover has been Darius.
Yeah.
I don't think that she really cared about anyone until him.
Yeah.
Because up until then, she was like, "Oh, I killed the bad guy. Oh, I killed the bad guy. Oh, the bad guy hurts me."
Yeah. Yeah, he put a scar on Clover. That's for sure.
At least for Finnick, it's gonna be Valeria.
Yeah.
Because it's just a thing where it's like she revealed that whole like, oh, the Chained Oblivion has a plan for you. And like part of me is curious if that's gonna come back later on in the campaign. Being like, it's not that easy to escape. You can't just take an oath and vanish from its radar. Like well, and because like the fact that Valeria was able to control her parents so easily.
Yeah.
Also, Brad has a question for us.
Yeah.
After Damiano answers.
I think not the most scary, but the most interesting for me, not for Gormrog, but for me, would be Spellwright Hystix Salgum.
Oh my god.
And potentially the Wonder Worker.
Yeah, we do need to circle back to that.
That is something I'm very curious about. Dude just had the Fireheart on his desk, right? Like he's created automatons. He's scheming and ambitious and creative and intelligent and cruel, and does it because he wants good things, but he's doing things that are harming creatures, and it's underhanded and shady, and the city owes him because of things he's done and is doing. He's interesting. He's not scary, but he's interesting. I do want to circle back to him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Brad did ask us, what's the next for the off time for our heroes? When this adventure is over, how will you spend your gold and your time?
First thing I gotta do is take Finnick on a date.
No date until level 20.
God damn it.
Okay, Dad.
No dating till you're level 20.
It's not what I meant. I didn't mean it that way.
Thought about this in the grand scheme of the game. Like, I'm encompassing in that question the everything, right? Like, and I don't even know what's gonna happen, but if Clover survives all of this, I do have plans for her, so I'm not going to answer the question because I want to be able to say it at the end if I survive. What I will say is that she's not going to stop adventuring. So that's a little sneak peek to what my plans are.
Okay. Let's see you, Dora the Explorer.
Ew, what the fuck?
Little adventurer over here, just going off on her own.
Yeah, I guess it really depends on when the next off time is for the group. Because Finnick has promised rolling through grassy hills with Clover. Obviously the date with Gormrog. But as for like endgame, it completely depends on what note we end on. Because like I personally have visions for Finnick, but it also depends, like, A, if she's gonna survive, and B, like, again, what happens at the end of the story if everyone else survives.
Yeah, there's so much to this. Brad, what is this question?
So, short term.
Date.
Some of your Raynor, date with Finnick, return to the Cobalt Soul, and tell him everything that happened. Maybe finish the Water Blade, the Tempest Blade. Maybe we go after the rest of them, and instead of bringing the Titans back, we prevent their return.
I thought that was all encompassing what we're doing right now.
Well, because thing is like,
I'm saying short term, right? Like that's what we're doing right now. Long term, I don't know that Gormrog looks that far ahead. I don't know that like Gormog's always kept moving, so I don't know that he can say like where he'll be or what he's doing enough to say I want to XYZ. So not as a cop-out, but because of who he is, there is no answer of that far away.
Yeah. Well, and I guess like Finnick herself, again, like similar to Gormrog, she's been moving since she was a kid. Like she's never known a single like stable piece of her life. So she's never learned to plan for long term. So I feel like the Fists of Fate have been like the most consistent part of her life so far. Even though, like, what have we been? We've been together for like 2.5 months, maybe 3.
I think it's 3 now.
3?
I think so.
We've been together for 3 months. This is the most stable thing that Finnick's had in her entire life. Read into that what you will, but it's so fun to try and like predict what your character's future is going to be, but it's like it's not.
I will say I hope that Joe has a cute hair and gun flirt with Clover now that Tristan's gone.
Hey, I've told this to Joe, but I will expand it. If Finnick dies, I will play a character that's either going to romance Whisper or Clover.
Romance
I will expand that.
Romance
be that way.
That. I'm just saying if. Keyword if she dies.
No, it's fine. I'm not jealous at all.
Don't be.
Romance both of us. Fuck it.
Hell yeah, polycule. Let's go.
All right. Well, I think that is going to bring us to the end You are now
Unless
officially...
anyone has any last-minute questions.
Yeah, any last-minute questions, go ahead and throw them in, but you are now caught up.
Ending on a polycule is a good note.
That's great.
Applications for player romance options.
What does that mean?
I don't understand the question, Brad.
I think he means where can he put in the application for the romance option. But
audition for the next show.
That being said, you are now okay. What's up, Cece?
No, I was just going to say announcements for this week. Queer and Present Danger is on Wednesday.
Yep.
We left on a little bit of a cliffhanger last session, so I'm very excited for Wednesday.
Yeah.
Make sure to tune into that.
Investigation
do you have anything
check
going on this Wednesday?
Investigation check on Thursday with GM Justin.
Yay! Hell yeah, we love GM Justin.
Yes. Justin was on Goodberry Cafe in the past. They're an awesome fucking human being, and I'm really excited to get to learn all about their backstory.
They're so nice.
I got to photograph them while at Gen Con. 10 out of 10. They were amazing.
Anyone else got anything?
Anything tomorrow, Joe, or no?
No.
No. Okay. So QPD on Wednesday?
QPD Wednesday, investigation
check on Thursday.
And you can catch me on Records of the Realm on Sunday.
Week, we're finally back with a real session of Forging Fates before going on another break.
Well, yes. Next week is Forging Fates, and then the next Monday, Goodberry Cafe returns.
Yay!
So
Goodberry Cafe, let's go.
We'll have a nice big battle, I'm sure, on Monday, and then we'll get to take a break and let you guys figure out how to handle the second half of whatever that's going to turn into.
Just completely depends on how the battle is going to go.
Yeah.
Just don't kill me, okay? Just kidding.
But you are now...
I dare you.
Oh, God, I'm going to try so hard now.
For me. Not leave Clover alone.
Oh, well, that's not fun then. But you are now all caught up on Forging Fates, episodes 1 through 66. It's been an amazing 2.5 years of telling this story with everyone. I hope you guys join us for the live shows every Monday, except, you figure it out. Every Monday at 9 Eastern.
Every Monday except the second Monday of the month.
Yes, but you'll figure that
out. Except for this month.
Or you can check it out. Weird. Or you can check us out on YouTube at new_age_geeks, where you can watch all the episodes a week later. I've got nothing else. If you guys got nothing else, stick around for the raid, and remember, we love you, geeks. Good night.